Hello, my friends. I hope you've all been staying safe and sound. I know it's been a while. This past month or so, my energy has been put towards my home and family and trying to be of help on the local level in order to keep my sanity. In my downtime, I just needed silence and honestly haven't felt like talking much, but I do miss you all. It's been pretty rainy here this late summer, and there are mushrooms out everywhere. I'm getting to know some of the edible mushrooms in our woods. It's amazing how the dynamics change when I get to know a plant or mushroom. When I start to call it by its name, it seems like we all of a sudden have a friendship. I see it more often and I feel like we're starting to look out for each other. The kids have started school and are trying to get the hang of doing everything virtually. Schools around here have decided not to go back in person for now, and I think that's a good idea. But right now it takes me more time to work through virtual schooling than it ever did when I was homeschooling leave. I know he'll get the rhythm of things, though, and I won't have to be there as much. He's already enjoying getting to know his fellow students, and Kaya seems to be happy that she has a school routine again. I know that preteen and that teenage time of life is hard no matter what, with new hormones and changes and so many questions about the world, stepping from that time of innocence out from the shadow of your parents' security into realizing the truths about the world around you. But this year has been harder than ever on our younger generation. I'm doing whatever I can to create some stability around us. Kaya really wants to help somehow, so we've decided one thing that we can do is volunteer at the voting polls. Often they're run by older generation, and with the pandemic, many of them might be scared to go out and risk their health, so she and I have decided to help with the polls to make sure that every vote gets counted. I've also been spending a lot of time in my gardens and doing a lot of natural dyeing to help me stay grounded. The rain has stopped, and it's a beautiful evening, so I thought I would take you with me on a mushroom walk. Now this one I have learned is a shaggy bolete. Porcinis are part of the bolete family, but this one is not a porcini. But if you look at its stem, let's see if I can get it to focus. It looks kind of like a shagbark hickory, or just, shaggy. Check this guy out. Looks like he's been munched on by something. Look at how big it is. I think some squirrels have been munching on him. I'm walking like 5 feet before I turn the camera on again. That's how many mushrooms there are around here. Check this guy out. Oh, that's another shaggy bolete. Gosh, that's pretty. Okay, this definitely looks like a chanterelle. Pretty that is. Oh, look at that one. Oof, look. Check this out. It's got like a mushroom growing on top of a mushroom, and then look right over here. There's another one. So pretty. This whole tree is covered in mushrooms. Oh my gosh, look at this. It looks so sad. This poor guy is like melting. What kind of mushroom is that? Oh, and look over here. Oh, there's two. Look, see this little purple one? And then there's this guy too. You guys look. It's a little heart-shaped mushroom and a heart-shaped leaf. Hey, puffballs. Can you see the stuff they're putting out? Check out these big old pancakes. They look like pancakes. Here's my hand for scale. There's one there, one there, another one there. There's a big one up in the woods. Check these out. These look kind of like that other one back there that looked like it had one growing out of it. Aren't they cool? They're all up the hillside. There's some more big pancakes. Oh, and look, here's some more of those little ones. They're so cute. It's been a busy day. Toby and I just shook the hazelnut trees. We put a blanket underneath them when they're about done and shake the trees to see if that's the last of it. Now, there's still some on the trees, but we've got a lot. It's going to be a good harvest this year. It'll keep us our bellies full this winter. And they're so tasty, especially with chocolate. I've also been out here doing a bunch of dyeing. I really wanted some nice oranges in my release. So I've been using Coreopsis and Anato. This has both, that beautiful bright orange. And this really pretty pale orange is just Coreopsis. But look at that, isn't that beautiful? It's like peachy orange. And then look at this. It goes really well with all the purples I've been doing lately. I think I must be in the Halloween mood. I've got a few other things in the dye pot too, working on some yellows. This is Tansy and Vitex, and it's really pretty. I just turned the heat off. Oh gosh, that's not even showing up. It's like it's a bright yellow, really. I'm gonna let it sink for a while, or sit for a while and soak, and I'll pull it out tomorrow. Once it's dried, I'll be able to get a better picture of it. I went out and pulled some of the corn. There's still a good bit there. It's all in that row and the row behind. But none of it really looked big or full. So I pulled the ones that had the brown, they say once the silk tassels get brown, it's time to pull it. So I pulled some. They definitely weren't fully pollinated, but gosh, they are pretty. Look at that. This reminds me of crooked teeth. I don't know why. But you can see all that color inside. Look at this one. You can see how dark it is. And look at my fingers. This is from shucking the corn. So, let me move these. Here's all the husks. It really reminds me of when I take the seeds out of Hopi sunflower seeds, or Hopi sunflower heads. The seeds are that same like deep purple color, and this is what my hands look like afterwards. So once I take all the corn down, once it's time, I'm going to take all the purple stalks and all the skins and see if I can dye with it. That would be really cool. I think it's easier for me to grow the sunflower seeds, and I get lots of color out of them. I was hoping the corn would have a good harvest, but we just don't get a good corn harvest in our little spot on the mountain. But, you know, then I could have food and dye. But it's a fun experiment, and I'm going to let some of it dry so I could put it on our little nature table and hang some on the door for winter or fall. I know some of you are also doing your own dye gardens. How is that going for you? Hey friends, I hope you guys are doing well. I have just a few minutes while Leaf is in a Zoom class, and I wanted to check in with you guys, just tell you a few things that are going on. Sorry if you hear some banging in the background. My mother-in-law is putting a small addition on her house, and that's up the hill, so you might hear that. Hopefully you'll just hear the cicadas and the birds and all the other nature that's going on around here. The gardens are crazy right now. Everything is just green and big and lush, which is really nice. There's not a whole lot of food coming in right now. It's more dye plants and flowers and stuff like that. I have some of them right here. Those are my dahlias. So I wanted to tell you a few things about things that are going to be happening this fall. Last year I did an herb and spice trade or tea trade for kind of like an Advent thing. And I wanted to do that again this year because it went really well, and a lot of people, including myself, really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to get to know people and try different kinds of teas. So I am going to open up a thread early in Ravelry for that. If you're not on Ravelry or you don't have access to Ravelry and you want to take part, send me an email, and I'll put my email in the down bar, or you can find it through my website, ninjachickens.org. But that way, you know, you can participate whether you're on Ravelry or not, but it's a lot of fun. What we did last year, and I'll probably do it the same this year, is I grouped people up in groups of 5, 6, or 7. It wasn't too many. And each person sent a few, maybe 3 or 4 teas to all the other people. So you end up with somewhere between 24 and 26 teas each. So that at the beginning of December you can open a tea and have a special something in the morning, or a spice. Some people used cooking spices or things they grew in their yard. It doesn't have to be homegrown. It can be store purchased. It was just fun because we often shared some of the things that were our favorites, and other people might not have known about those. So you got to experience different kinds of teas or herbs from your new friends. So I'm going to open that back up. I'll have all the details in Ravelry, and if you email me, I'll just send you the details. I haven't worked it all out yet, but I'm probably going to close the application, I guess you'd call it, a little early, or at least I want to be able to send out names to people earlier than last time, since mail is running really slowly right now in the United States, and that way everybody has time to get their teas out and to their fellow tea swappers before December 1st. So email me for more information, or if you're in Ravelry, go to Ravelry and I'll have a thread up with all the details. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. We've also had in Ravelry a dye garden along that's been going on for a while. A number of people are in there sharing the dye garden plants that they've been growing, and even some of the natural dyeing that they've been doing. I think it would be really cool to include a dye seed swap for those who are interested. So any of us who've been taking part, or even if you haven't been taking part, if you have some dye seeds that you want to share, we can do that through Ravelry. I'm not sure how I would do that off of Ravelry, but if you're part of Ravelry and you want to share in that, go check out the dye garden along thread, and I will put details in there. I will amend details to the main first post, and then have all the information about how we can participate in a seed swap for dye seeds. So that's one thing. I also wanted to show you something that I knit. My knitting mojo came back when I saw Mars of HeyBrownberry publish her new pattern, her hat pattern called Unchained. I absolutely love it. I thought it was so beautiful. I loved the yarn and the color, but the pattern, it's classic. It's really nice, and I thought that would be a really nice winter hat. So I knit myself one. Well, here, let me show you the picture of the original. Let's see. Oh, I don't have a full-on picture. I just have little ones. Well, it's called Unchained, and you can find it on Ravelry, and I believe in her Etsy store, HeyBrownberry. But here's mine. I changed it up a bit. The original version that she has is a slightly thinner yarn. It's a DK weight, and it doesn't have a brim, a rolled brim. I wanted something that was a little bit thicker, that felt kind of big and squishy, so I didn't knit it as much as a, what's it called? A beanie, as I did like a thicker hat. So here's how it looks. And it's super cozy. I knit it with some yarn that I found in the sale bin at Harrisville Mill when I was up there a couple years ago, I believe. And they only had 2 skeins left, so I grabbed those 2 skeins. I would have loved to have a sweater in this color, but I used maybe about 1.5 skeins because they were small for the hat, and I love it. I really like how the crown comes together, but it's really beautiful. So Unchained by HeyBrownberry. Let's see, I used, I think I used a size 6 needle, so I went up a good bit, and I used it for the whole thing mainly. So maybe I did a 5 for the brim, but I wanted it to be loose. I didn't want it to be super tight, so I went up a bunch, and this yarn is probably a worsted weight. All the details are in my Ravelry page. And next, I'm trying to find the brain power to cast on a sweater that I want to knit. I've been wanting to make this for a long time, and I finally decided that's the next thing I'm going to do. So this was originally an idea for a sock pattern, and I'll bring it closer so you can see. It's a sweet little cable that was going to run up along the ankle. And I just fell in love with the color of this yarn, with the look of it, and this little cable. I really liked it. And I thought, well, when I was actually thinking about a sock, I put it on, I was like, wouldn't that be a cool sweater? I know I've talked about this before, but I don't remember all the details I told you, but I've decided it's time. I'm going to cast on. I'm not going to make this into a published pattern. What I think I'm going to do is just record snippets of video as I go along, talking about how I'm knitting this to fit my body. So it will be something you can follow along, and then I will publish the cable details. So if you want to make something similar, you can. But that way, my hope is you can follow along and measure the parts of your body that you need and figure out how to adjust your sweater to fit you. So it's going to take me a little while. I think I'm going to cast on the arms first, since I know exactly how big I want those to be. Talk about gauge and how I'm increasing for my arms and stuff like that, and then we'll go probably from the bottom up and attach the arms at that time. So yeah, I like it. This yarn I got at Edinburgh Yarn Festival a few years ago, and it is Tormentil Heath from Uradale Yarns, and I love the color. It's funny how the colors that look good on me have changed over the last few years with the change of color in my hair. I was born a strawberry blonde. My hair went to dirty blonde is what we called it when I was young, and about the time I hit puberty it became a lot darker and wavier. It used to be really stick straight, and when I had Kaya it got even darker, and when I had Leaf it got even darker, and so it went from strawberry blonde as a baby to super dark brown, auburn brown kind of, and then in the last 6 or 7 years it's gone very gray, and now it almost looks blondish again. There's a car coming up the hill, so I'm going to stop for a second. Okay, we're back. So yeah, it's going to be kind of a knit to fit sweater, and we'll see how it goes. I've never done anything like that before, but it's going to be a fairly standard boxy style, maybe a little waist shaping, we'll see. I want it to be big and cozy for the winter. So I'll make some stuff so you can follow along. Let's see what else I want to tell you about. I have a pattern coming out in Making Stories. It will be out on the shelves September 1st, and I love this magazine. I love their mission. I love what they, that they stand behind their work, that they, you know, walk their talk. Everything is done as sustainably as possible, from the publishing to the type of paper, all of that. So the pattern I have in here is called Wayfarer, and it's a shawl. It's a shawl that's kind of like a choose your own adventure. I want it to be something where you have a starting point and you can go from there to figure out how you want to create it. The basic design is kind of like triangle, a long arrow shape maybe, and there are 4 different colors that are used throughout the shawl. But when you get to a changing point in the shawl, I give you a pattern that you can use, and I also say, but if you want to pick your own pattern, you just need it to be this many stitches, like a certain stitch count. So you can kind of design your own shawl out of it, or you can follow exactly what they've got. So I'm going to post a few pictures here so you can see what it looks like. I really loved designing it. I had a lot of fun with it. It's a really big shawl, but it doesn't have to be. It can be made out of scraps if you want, or you can use 4 full skeins of yarn. So, so I hope you guys enjoy it. There's also some really beautiful other patterns in here. Hats. I love this little hat. This sweet reversible hat. There you can see a close-up of the pattern a little better there, the patterning. And Marina Skua has a gorgeous sweater in there with a little cactus motif. So anyway, I encourage you to check it out. It's a really lovely magazine, and it's coming out September 1st, and there are a lot of suppliers or stockists in the US as well as in other countries. It's published in Germany, but it's available worldwide. So anyway, I'm really excited about that. So I think the last thing I have to tell you about is my shop update. It has been many months in the making. I had planned on having a shop update this past spring, but you know, all hell broke loose, so things had to change. And it also gave me time, like I was saying in the last podcast, it gave me time to evaluate how I want to run my business. I'm still trying to figure that out. I've been talking to a number of people, just tossing around ideas of how I want to make it work. I know that from this shop update, and potentially from every shop update on, I'm going to have 10% of all the sales put into a scholarship fund. I want people to have access to my products as well as to my teaching. So I know I'm not teaching right now because of the pandemic, but when I do start teaching, I want to make sure that those people who are unable to afford it have access to a scholarship to take the class. So 10% of all sales are going to be put into a scholarship fund, and that will Okay, sorry about that. So yes, I'm going to have a scholarship fund, and I want to do something else too. I'm not sure how I'm going to make it work. I want to make sure that people who can't afford my shawls have access to them somehow. So I'm trying to figure out how to make that happen too. And then there's also the aspect of, well, if I have a scholarship and I'm asking people who can't afford it to apply, I know some people don't like talking about their finances, and so I don't know. I'm not sure how I'm going to make it work, but I'm going to make it work. I want to make sure that it happens. I want to take myself out of the completely capitalist society aspect of my business. But some of the things that I'm going to have available in the shop update, there's going to be a lot. There's definitely going to be eco-printed sock blanks and silk shawls. I also have a new shawl that I've been trying out that I really love that is a mix of silk and wool so that it's warmer in the winter and it's much bigger. And I have an example here. This one was dyed with logwood and black walnut and coreopsis and butterfly bush and hollyhocks. And I love how it turned out.
it took the colors really well. It's super soft, it's very warm, so I will have a few of those available. These are definitely going to be more expensive than my other silk shawls because these I purchased from a company in Australia who sources their silk from sustainable and ethically grown silk. So they let the moths hatch from the cocoons before they harvest the silk so that they don't kill the caterpillars. They also work ethically and fair trade with the companies where they get the wool and the weavers and all of that. So it's a really beautiful story behind the shawl and how people are treated and how animals are treated. And it's from Australia, so I pay more to get it over here, but I really like it, and it feels good to wrap myself up in it. So I will have those. I am going to have 3 different types of herbal teas. I'm going to have a roll-on essential oil blend that I crafted with Kaya. That is going to be good for kind of sinking into the fall and winter and grounding and centering yourself, something that I think is really needed. And I'm going to have some naturally dyed yarns. I have 4 different samples here. There's going to be more colors than this, but there are 4 different yarns. There's a straight out BFL that I've had before in my sock blanks. Then there is this lovely one that's a tweed that is silk, mohair, merino, and viscose. I'm not sure how to say that, if it's French, if it's viscois or viscose, I don't know. I'm sounding totally ignorant, but it has a little bit of that in it. Then there's this one that is merino, alpaca, and silk, and this one which is merino and hemp. So there's 4 different varieties. And they're all really lovely. And they will all be naturally dyed, and I'll have small batches of each of those with all the details of what they're made out of. And I think that's it. Oh, the shop update is going to be 9 a.m. Saturday, October 3rd. I'll have all the details on Instagram, and I'm going to be putting up lots more about the products that I'm going to have in there on Instagram. So if you don't follow me there, that's a place where you'll see pictures and details about everything. So I think that's it. I can't think of anything else, though it feels like a million things have happened since I last talked to you. That's what's going on right now. I hope you guys are doing well, and I hope I will talk to you soon. I don't know if it will be before the shop update or not, as things are keeping really busy around here with the kids' school and the gardens and getting the update ready. But I hope you're well and taking care of yourselves and your friends and family. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.